Hi guys, this is Nick. He's my volunteer for today's science lesson. So we're just going to get right down into it. We are going to dissect an eye today. So the first thing that Nick is going to do is he's going to cut a little bit of the muscle and fat off of the eyeball. And he is going to just kind of snip away, just kind of clean it up for us. When he is done, he's going to plunk it onto our label sheet so we can see it. That looks good. I think we can live with that. So we'll pop it down here, get back into focus, and you can see here that it says muscle and fat. And that muscle and fat is going to help position the eye in place, but it's also going to help move the eye when we need to. Nick, can you just show me the eyelid of the eye, please? Yeah, perfect. So we have an eyelid there that's going to open and close if we need to. We're going to flip actually to the very back of the eye now, and your optic nerve is at the back. Now that long nerve piece, again, we'll try to get my focus back in place here. That's it right there. So that nerve is going to lead from the eyeball to the brain, and it's going to allow us to see images with our brain transmitting the signal, or the optic nerve transmitting the signal to the brain. So we're just cutting off a little bit more of that muscle, and right now I think we'll get you to cut off that optic nerve. I guess a little bit more muscle, and here we go. So that nerve is going to come off, and that nerve is like a little bundle of a whole bunch of nerves, and that can go right here for now on our little board. So again, there we go, we're in focus. So we've got an optic nerve. Again, it led from the back of the eye to the brain to send signals. So at this point, we are actually going to cut into the eye. We're going to cut through the difficult and firm white layer. Your eye is certainly a sensitive part of your body, but it is not weak. You'll see here, we're going to try our best to get through the white portion of the eye, and it will not be an easy process. The white part, the sclera, is actually quite firm. You don't have to be gentle here. You can just jam that scissor right in there. All right, beautiful. Now, would you squeeze a little bit here? There's something called the aqueous humor, as you can see there. So our aqueous humor is going to be a very, very thin liquid. Oh, sorry. Didn't quite get through, I guess. All right, that's good. So you can see it's quite runny, it's very watery, and that's going to add some support and firmness to the eye. So what we're going to do now, we've cut into the eye, we're now going to cut a circle around the eye. And we're essentially going to cut that eye in half from the front to the back, sort of an equator around it. That's probably good. You can probably open it up for me and just let's see the inside of both. If you can grab some of that jelly, that delicious looking jelly, place it here. That is called the vitreous humor. Vitreous humor, again, is a bit more of a solid jelly-like thing, and it's going to add that security and that firmness to the eye. At this point, you've actually removed the lens. So let's take that lens and actually let's plunk him back into the eye for a minute, just to show us where the location would be near the iris and cornea there, which is the front of your eye. So your lens is positioned there in the hole where your pupil would be, and that is going to help direct light to the back part of your eye, the retina, which is important. So we are going to take the lens out. We can put the lens back in its main position where it does indeed belong, but that is what your lens is going to look like. Whether you're a sheep or a cow or a human, that's basically what it's going to look like. So let's take a look at the back of the eye now, if we can. The back of the eye is going to have a beautiful gross sheen. So Nick's going to take his little forceps and he's going to peel the back of the eye off, and that is going to be called the retina. So what the retina does is sort of a thin layer. Let's see if we can get that baby out of there. So if I can just grab that light area there, that little goopy piece. Yep, that's perfect. Okay, so good enough. We'll plunk it down there. Anyways, the back of your eye is the retina. It's going to contain little tiny cells called rods and cones. And those rods and cones are going to receive light and kind of interpret that light for the optic nerve. So that's good enough. We can skip that part. So now we're going to head to the front of the eye. This is the really important part here. The main focus of any lesson on the eye is going to include this. So inside you'll see a dark ring, and that ring is going to be called the iris, and that's that color part of your eye, those cells that open and close and create either more light or less light. If you researched any camera parts on our last lesson, you might have found something part of your camera that would do that same thing. It would either open and close and allow more or less light in. So we'll see if we can get this lovely iris out in one piece. And it will peel fairly nicely if we can get our forceps under there. Oh, right in the eye. Perfect. Okay. All right, so after we've washed out Nick's eye from the eyeball juices getting in your eye, we are going to peel out that iris. So we're going to plunk it down on the iris thing. We're going to try to get it here in a circle format if you can. Beautiful. All right. So you can see again, that's your eye. The reason it says iris and pupil together is that the pupil is that center part, that invisible hole where the iris isn't. Your pupil isn't really black, it's just an empty space where the iris is not located. So if we go back to the front of our eye, let's look carefully at it. You'll see kind of a clear portion on the front of it. Nick, if you can just tap that with your forceps. That part is very, very hard. That's the most protective part of your eye called the cornea. So it's definitely a firm piece. So if you want to just cut a circle around the cornea for me, that would be great, and we'll look at it. It's almost like a little piece of plastic when you're dissecting. Certainly doesn't feel that way if you poke yourself in the eye. It doesn't feel that way. Did you cut your thumb off?
No, I accidentally cut into it.
Oh, that's no stress.
It's very soft.
All right, so we're going to cut that cornea out. Again, that cornea is going to be at the front of your eye, and you will have that as well. It looks kind of like a little piece of plastic, and we'll get back in focus. There we go. All right, perfect. Now, Nick, if you don't mind, just take that white piece of the eye and plunk that on there.
Yes.
Yeah, right here. So this is your sclera. That is just the white portion of your eye. If you've ever told a girl that you love the whites of her eyes and how beautiful and white they are, well, first of all, you're a weirdo, but second of all, you were complimenting her on her sclera. Most people don't really compliment people on the whiteness of their eyes, but anyways, we have here some muscle and some fat tissue. We have the sclera, that is that white portion of your eye. We have the cornea, that is the very front covering that's going to be quite protective. We have an iris that is going to create a hole in the center that's called the pupil, and that iris is going to either open or close or create more or less light inside. It's going to direct that light to the lens, which is quite amazing, and directs the light to the retina, which is the back of the eye, which will then send information to the optic nerve. We do have that vitreous humor and that aqueous humor that's going to help make the eye firm and stay in shape. Anyways, you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed our dissection, and we will see you another day.